In at number 5 we have The Orphan Story. The Orphan Story was published in 2018, however the writing of this novel was started 400 years earlier by Martin de Leon Cardenas. Martin was not just any writer, he was a monk who broke his sacred vow. He wrote the majority of the novel between 1608 and 1615. There is a rumour of a curse surrounding the novel. The reason the book was not published until 2018 was due to everyone involved in the book mysteriously dying. The curse is rumoured to have been attached to the book when the monk broke his sacred vow. He was the first to die before he could finish writing the story. It was Belinda Palacios who rediscovered the manuscript hidden in the archives of the Hispanic Society of America in 1965. She was determined to finish the book and have it published, but was deterred by her colleagues warning her about the curse. The book then went back into the archives. Others attempted to publish the book on several occasions. The publication fell through each time because those involved kept dying suddenly under mysterious circumstances. The deaths were caused by sudden traumatic events, horrific car accidents, sudden and unexplained illnesses. It finally took 400 years for someone to be brave enough to publish the book. Even now, after being published, it is believed the curse is still contained within the story. The difference being now it has been duplicated and sent all over the world, making the curse stronger and having many more victims than it can claim. The origin of the curse contained in the book is unknown, however it is thought to be millions of years old. Formed over the worship of ancient religions, when the monk broke his vow, he unknowingly released the curse. It then latched onto the pages of the manuscript, taking anyone who dared to be involved with it. In at number 4 we have Untitled Book of Spells. This untitled spellbook was first known by the public in 2013. 2 books were listed for sale online. The online seller was selling 2 mysterious handwritten and spiral-bound spellbooks. The books were sold for a crazy $13,865. Once sold, the seller sent a warning to the buyer saying, "To those not of the craft, the reading of this book is forbidden. Proceed no further, or justice will exact a swift and terrible retribution, and you will surely suffer at the hand of the craft." The warning means that if you do not study witchcraft and you attempt to study or perform anything within the book, you will be cursed and will suffer. These spells were believed to have been written by a high priestess of Wiccan named Persephone Adrasta Irene sometime in the early 1960s. It is believed that she ran her own coven, keeping to herself in an area that others avoided. It is believed that spellbooks should always be burned after the witch who wrote them dies. The spells should not be used by anyone if not under the witch's supervision. The 2 books are believed to be reworkings of the original work by someone in the coven. They did not want the work to be lost, so they reworked and created 2 copies of the spells. This is not something that should ever be done. They each contain vast collections of incantations, curses, spells, and enchantments. There are instructions on how to summon spirits, demons, and other worldly entities, as well as instructions on exorcism in case something goes wrong during another spell. It is not currently known where the book is or if the buyer is alive or dead. Hopefully they are worthy to study the pieces, otherwise they may have cursed themselves. In at number 3 we have The Lesser Key of Solomon. The Lesser Key of Solomon is another book of spells. It is known as a cursed book of demonology. The author is unknown, as is usually the case with cursed books. Some say it is compiled from various texts gathering information from the most powerful spell books. It was first found in the 17th century. Since then the book has been published and can even be found on Amazon. But think before you purchase. The book contains passages on how you could conjure the dead, demons, or lost spirits. Once summoned, it also tells how you can use these spirits for your own bidding. Ancient texts are often rumored to be cursed. The same can be said for this one, with tragedy and bad luck following the book. This book, unlike the other spellbooks, includes unique spells that others don't often mention. For example, it includes how to make yourself invisible or locate missing items. There are recipes for love potions and even liquors of persuasion. It seems there is nothing that you cannot achieve if you bought this book. This may be by design, promise those desperate for success or wanting something out of reach that they can have anything they want, all for a price of a book. You should get lots of sales. But this is definitely not a book that you should want to own. It is apparently so cursed that it will doom anyone who has it on their bookshelf. There have been claims of various hauntings surrounding the books. The pages of the book reportedly turn on their own if the book is left idle. Others noted the book flying across the room. There are also more concerning hauntings. People have heard demonic whisperings around their home after buying the book, while also seeing shadow creatures in the corner of their eyes. The good news is there is a way to break the curse if you have already welcomed it into your home. It has been claimed that the way to dispose of the book is to burn it to ashes. Once you dispose of the ashes, you should be free of the curse, unless of of course you used one of the spells wrong and something has backfired. In at number 2 we have the Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is known to be one of the most mysterious books in the world. It is unknown who the author was or when it may have been written. It is 240 pages long, it is written cryptically in an indecipherable language. It is also full of strange elaborate illustrations. The book is one of a kind, it has attracted many great minds over the years, all driven crazy after not being able to crack the code. The book is named after Wilfrid Voynich. He founded a secondhand store in London. He was travelling in Rome during 1921 looking for books for his store. During his trip he discovered the manuscript. He gave the manuscript his name due to its mystery. He realised he had stumbled upon something very special. The only indication of the book's past was a letter found along with the book. The letter stated it was written in 1665. It spoke about how the manuscript had once belonged to the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who reigned from 1576 to 1612, meaning it is at least 450 years old from what we know of. As most of the contents are unknown due to being unreadable, it is unclear exactly what the purpose of the book was. It is, however, believed that the book carries a curse of the old ones. This book may contain secrets of the ancient ones. This would explain why no one understands the language. It is an ancient dialect that no one alive today could comprehend. Some believe that if you did happen to crack the code, the curse would then be released. Even so, many have continued to try. Hopefully no one ever does. If you spoke the words out loud, it might release an evil onto the world we could never stop. And finally, in at number 1 we have the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon book is said to be bound in human flesh and inked in blood. It is a book of nightmares containing the darkest curses. Roughly translated, the title means an image of the law of the dead. It is said to even contain the power to resurrect the dead and summon ancient creatures. It is said that those who have read the book have turned insane or even died upon finishing the book. The story is that the book was written by Abdul al-Hazred and is over 1,000 pages long. Obviously it is the most haunted, cursed and doomed book in the world. It has even made appearances in various horror films including Evil Dead and Friday the 13th. Of course not a lot is known about the particular curses due to those who have read them no longer being around, but what we do know is that the original texts have the power to end humanity. If anyone was to survive the reading or survive performing one of the curses, they may summon one of the old ones. The old ones are the ancient creatures who ran the world before humanity, creatures like Cthulhu, who if awakened would destroy the earth before we could even think about stopping them. People who have been tempted to bring back their past loved ones have turned to the Necronomicon for answers, only to be driven mad the further into the book they read. The book does contain the power to bring back loved ones, but you would have to survive losing your own mind and soul along the way. Most copies of the book were destroyed for obvious reasons, but not all of the contents are lost forever. If you're brave enough to read any of the dark curses inside, there is a copy located in Massachusetts Miskatonic University. Just be careful what you read into, it could be the last thing you ever do.
Number 5 on this list is the Sacred Book of Abramelin the Mage. This book was written by, and yep, you guys guessed it, Abramelin. Abramelin held a belief that every single person had their own unique personal demon within them. Kinda sounds like the guy who's been through a few rough breakups if you ask me. He believed though that even though we all had this personal demon, that it could be tamed and it could be controlled. Sort of like this inner power that you have that once you're capable of controlling, it will be very strong. If you have this inner demon tamed, then you'll be able to perform supernatural feats and abilities that the average human won't be able to do. That's basically what this book is all about. Taming your inner demon and learning to work with it so that you can harness that power. Then, once you've done so, this book will teach you what sort of powers you're able to perform. Now this all sounds pretty legendary actually. I think that everybody would love to be able to channel some magical part of themselves and perform supernatural feats. The book, as with many on this list though, comes with a downside. If you have this book in your possession, then you're said to be haunted by spirits from another dimension. And these spirits will bring you horrible luck. Maybe if you channel your inner demon quick enough and then get rid of this book, it could be worth it, but something tells me that it's going to take longer than an afternoon to do that, which probably makes this book too dangerous to use. Number 4 on this list is the Arabetel. The Arabetel, or the Arabetel de Magia Veretum, is an ancient text that has some questionable things in it. Although the intentions of this book are good and it may have helped some individuals live a better life, there are dark things in here as well, and the better life can't be said for all people who use this book. Ancient Origins writes, the Arabetel is a Renaissance period grimoire and one of the most influential works of its kind. Unlike some other occult manuscripts that contain dark magic and malicious spells, the Arabetel contains spiritual advice and guidance on how to live an honest and honorable life. The Arabetel is said to have been written in 1575 AD. The author remains unknown, although it has been speculated that it was written by a man named Jacques Gohori. The focus of the Arabetel is on nature and the natural relationships between humanity and a celestial hierarchy. It centers on the positive relationships between the celestial world and humans, and the interaction between the two of them. The Arabetel was an extremely influential work for its time. So as we can see, this ancient text isn't inherently evil in nature, or at least that wasn't its initial intention. However, this book has been connected to some urban legends, and one copy of the text in particular is definitely cursed. It's believed that back in the 1600s, this book fell into the property of a young Polish farmer. The farmer grew obsessed with this book and the dark and malicious spells that it contained. He cursed his rivals and made it so that their crops would never grow. He turned into this evil warlock who the whole region feared. Even though they feared him, they weren't going to give up all hope. The people rose up and attacked this warlock farmer. They killed him, but before he died, he cursed his copy of the Arabetel so that whoever reads it will die within 60 days. Needless to say, the people weren't about to test this guy's curse out, and they hid the copy of the book away. Nowadays, nobody knows where it went, and it could still possibly be out there. So if you do ever pick up one of these texts and give it a read, then you're basically rolling the dice and just hoping that it wasn't that same copy that got cursed. Number 3 on this list is the Book of Soiga. The Book of Soiga is one of the most intriguing books on this list. Humans like things that are hard to come by, things that are rare and often valuable to us. Diamonds are beautiful, but it's actually the rarity and difficulty in finding the diamonds that make them as valuable as they are. Well, the Book of Soiga took a book from those precious stones, and it's definitely hard to come by. The style inspiration says, dating back to the 16th century, the Book of Soiga, also known as the Aldaria, is a Latin essay about demonology with only 2 known copies in existence. One was owned by the scholar John Dee, and his elder brother devoted his entire life to decoding the Book of Soiga. Though he successfully determined that the book was full of dark rituals and incantations, he struggled to figure out the final 36 pages. His obsession with figuring out the content of those final pages drove Dee to insanity. Obsessed, he even hired a medium to summon the Archangel Uriel to help with the translation. Speaking through Dee's medium, Uriel apparently explains that the book came into existence when Adam ended paradise and that it could only be interpreted by Archangel Michael. After Dee's death, the book was thought long lost until 2 copies were found in 1994. Since then, many have been tempted to try and complete these works, but it comes with a serious risk. According to legend, anyone who successfully deciphers those final pages is destined to die in under 3 years. So dying in 3 years obviously isn't the best, but the good part about this is because it's so rare, it's pretty unlikely to stumble on this book and give it a read. This is like a legendary Pokemon of cursed books though, so if you do ever come across it, don't read it, but definitely scoop it up and put that thing on eBay. In that case, the Book of Soiga might actually be a blessing. Number 2 on this list is the Lesser Key of Solomon. This book is so cursed that it doesn't even need to be read to curse you. Literally just being in its proximity can do the trick. Slapped Ham writes, the Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as the Clavica Solomon's Regis, is a cursed grimoire of demonology. Its original authors are unknown, and it's said to be comprised of texts compiled sometime in the 17th century. The book contains passages on how to conjure spirits of the dead and demons and how to control these entities to do your bidding. Curses and invocations also play a large role in the ancient text. Esoteric topics like how to become invisible and locate missing or stolen items are covered. Recipes for love potions and liquors of persuasion are also scattered throughout the book. This definitely isn't the book you want to own. It's reportedly so cursed that it will doom anyone who keeps a copy on their bookshelf. Those who've owned it have reported strange occurrences like pages turning on their own and books violently flying across the room. Strange whispers and shadow creatures have also been reported by owners of the manual. Owning the Lesser Key of Solomon is also believed to bring about catastrophic bad luck. It's said that the only way to break the book's curse is to burn the pages and properly dispose of the ashes. Finally, someone making some sense. How many times have I gone on this channel and talked about how we just need to start burning things? Cursed books, cursed houses, cursed objects. Screw all of it, let's just burn it. At the end of the day, this stuff is really cool, but I'm not out here trying to have my life ruined by some weird book. Burn it hot and let's be done with it. And finally, number 1 on this list is the Codex Gigas. Codex Gigas is one of the closest things that we have to a Bible for the devil. And anything that carries a weight to it like that needs to be on this list. The Style Inspiration says, at 92 centimeters, the Codex Gigas is the largest extant medieval illuminated manuscript in the world. Just like everything evil, it comes with 2 names, and the Codex Gigas' second name is more than a little foreboding: the Devil's Bible. The history of the book is heavy to say the least. It was written by a monk who had broken his spiritual vows, and for his crime, the monk was sentenced to die entombed behind a brick wall. The night before his death, the monk began chronicling everything he knew about the human experience in a book. So, the story goes, realizing he wouldn't have time to finish it, he apparently summoned Lucifer and asked him to complete the project in exchange for his soul. The book was then allegedly completed by the devil himself. It's overflowing with dark rituals and imagery, and even includes 19-inch drawings of the devil and other demonic entities. Now, obviously, because this was written by the devil, there are some side effects from reading the thing. People have reported watching their friends become possessed as they read it. Now, it's currently on display for people to go take a look at the National Library of Sweden. But be very careful if you ever do go take a look, because clearly, this is the work of the devil. But there you have it, guys. That is our list of the top 5 sacred books that hold ancient curses, part 2. Please comment down below what you thought about this list and some other creepy books that you guys may know about. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.
Number 5. Mirror, Mirror. Starting off this list, we arrive at somewhat of a tame curse. I mean, not tame, because I've hit nothing but red lights for the past month since I broke mine. We've all broken a mirror or two, haven't we? Little hand mirror here or there. Apparently breaking some melted liquid sand can get you in some pretty hot water. Almost everybody has heard of breaking mirrors. Pretty well dooms you to at least 7 years and of bad luck. We've all done it. It happens. Well, apparently it's an old curse. This one's origins begin in ancient Rome. The Romans believed that the human soul would renew every 7 years, repairing whatever damage they had suffered during that time. They also thought that a mirror's reflection was a way to look inside said soul. So what they thought was, if you break a mirror, you break a little bit of your soul as well, which would then again have to go through this 7-year cycle to renew and cleanse that bad aura right out of you. Yeah, do this for 7 years as your soul is reborn. You endure misfortune because of your imperfect, now shattered soul. Sounds like a bad breakup. Mirrors were not cheap either back then, and they were pretty low quality and easily breakable. In order to avoid negligence to the owners, it was also known that breaking a mirror and the whole 7 years of bad luck thing was also a simple scare tactic. I'm not making any more mirrors. You know how much work that is? Like, if you break it, you buy it, pal, and 7 years of bad luck, too. I don't know, it's hard. These take a long time to make. Next time, just watch your hands, please. Number 4, St. Anne's Well. As always, if you like what we do here at Top 5 Scary, hit us up with a like. A little spot my family likes to call home. Liverpool, England, and also one of the newest reasons that I'm never revisiting again. In 2016, archaeologists uncovered an ancient well near Liverpool that dates to the medieval era. Archaeologists say that they rediscovered a large sandstone well on a private farm in Liverpool. When archaeologists arrived at the site, there was barely anything of a well, as it had become completely filled with earth for hundreds of years. The cult of St. Anne was once a widespread medieval following. The mother of the Virgin Mary, Anne, is often associated with great and powerful healing wells. Anne supposedly bathed in the well, which was known for treating skin and eye diseases. Like OG LASIK, you know, just hop right on in, cataracts gone in a flash. Apparently for centuries, a priory of 12 monks tended to the well mid-16th century, and there was a huge competition and demand for this hot spring. The priory's father and his neighbor both claimed ownership. He's being snide, isn't he? He's being a snide one. Classic case of Darcy versus Delwany. 2 days later, King Henry VIII shows up, and after all the talk with his men, they seized the well and both dudes lost out. Scouse his luck, mates, go on, scouse his luck. Apparently lore goes, Delwany cursed Darcy, and according to legend, Delwany then dropped dead on the spot. Talk about karma, dude. Within 3 months, Darcy's son had passed away from unknown illnesses as well as Darcy losing his job. and a year later, Darcy was found at the bottom of said well. Despite the grim legend, the well continued to be used even after the lore had become widespread. It actually made it more popular. It was purposely buried, but then recently discovered, restored, and reinforced. I only do the wishing wells. You know, those are the only wells that I do. They're the nice kind. Number 3, the Knights Templar. Everybody knows about the superstition about the number 13. Supposedly unlucky. Dude, I lived on the 14th floor for like 3 years. Lights always flickered, always. Just saying. We're also familiar with the Friday the 13th being unlucky and not just a banger of a Halloween movie. But not a lot of people know where this 13 thing actually originates from. In the early 14th century, King Philip of France was at war with the English. There was this really rich group called the Knights Templar, and after funding King Philip's side of the war, he didn't really have any intention on paying them back. Yeah, you see, the Knights Templar had become a powerful organization in Europe. The most powerful. During the Crusades, King Philip needed supplies and revisions. Never intending to pay them back, of course, Philip doubled down, conspiring with Pope Clement V, who, on Friday, October 13th, 1307, led an ambush, seize, mass arrest of the Knights' leader Jacques de Molay and all of his men. They were all charged and imprisoned. He was tortured, imprisoned, and burned at the stake. However, before dying, Jacques de Molay cursed both enemies, claiming that both Clement and Philip would be dead within the year and that their names would be forgotten. Clement succumbed to a fatal disease. Philip died of a stroke, like right after each other. By 1328, all of Philip's sons and grandsons had perished from rapid illness, and the curse had sprung true. Yeah, I wouldn't cross the Navy SEALs of the medieval times. Probably not a good idea. Now I got flickering lights because you two backstabbed a cult army for doing something nice for you? Shame on you. Number 2, the Pella Tablet. In 1986, archaeologists unearthed a cursed tablet during excavations of the ancient Macedonian capital of Pella. Archaeologists uncovered 1,600 Greek cursed tablets since then. However, the Pella tablet is still by far the oldest, and apparently the most cursed. Created somewhere between 400 and 350 BC, the Pella tablet is a letter to the gods asking them for help to curse a woman who stole her man's heart. And not like a sappy mixtape or anything, this curse is inscribed on lead scroll. It's metal paper. The writer, one who calls herself Degina, calls upon divine powers from the gods to solve her problem. Her beloved, Dionysophon, is on the verge of marriage to another woman. Degina wants him to herself, of course, and then asks the gods for some help. The language on the stone is so old that it actually predates the modern and ancient Macedonian language. These cursed tablets, or spell scrolls, were called katatismoi, or deficciones, and it was widely believed that they would continue to work and curse as long as the text and tablet existed. Basically, as long as there's batteries in there, it's gonna keep on cursing. James L. O'Neill from the University of Sydney interprets the translation of the ancient text as, quote, "Forbid by writing the ceremony and the marriage of Dionysophon and Thetima, and all other women, and widows and virgins, but especially Thetima. And I assign them to Macron and the Daemones. And whenever I shall unroll and read this again after digging it up, then Dionysophon may marry. But not before. May he not take any wife but me, and may I and no other woman grow old with Dionysophon. I am your suppliant. Pity me, dear Daemonis, for I am weak and bereft of all friends. But protect me so this does not happen and evil Thetima will perish evilly. But may I be fortunate and blessed." Whoa, for never was a story more woe than this of Thetima and her Dionysophon. I think it sounds better than Romeo and Juliet. What do you think? I mean, that's not very nice to wish there, Degina. Kinda mean if you ask me, and very jealous. Also, Thetima, girl, you gotta split. This girl's out here looking for you. You're gonna catch some hands for talking to someone else's man. I'm just saying, you've been warned. Number 1, the Bjorktorp Runestone. Of course, the number 1 spot, Bjorktorp Runestone. I had to. I just did my ancestry and apparently I'm 12% Viking. Yeah, I just sent my spit somewhere and they told me that. This specific cursed runestone is one of the many megalithic standing stones located in Sweden. This one actually is one of the world's tallest as well, measuring 4.5 meters high. It's part of a stone circle with 2 other blank standing stones. Scholars date the runestone's inscription to the 7th century AD. It's carved with a type of rune that form an intermediate version between the elder Futhark and the younger Futhark. The runestone is inscribed on both sides. The short message reads, "I foresee perdition," and the longer side translates to, I, master of the runes, conceal here runes of power, incessantly plagued by maleficence doomed to insidious death, is he who breaks this monument. I prophesy destruction. A little aggressive, bro, but I guess, they were Vikings, so aggression was kind of their thing. Local lore says that the curse came true at one point. Long ago, a man wanted to move the runestone so that he could have more room to farm, so he piled wood around it in an attempt to heat the stone and then crack it with water. As soon as he lit the fire, the man's hair lit aflame. His clothes were soon engulfed and the man perished right there next to the ruin. Yo, I would just avoid these at all costs. Like, no point should you ever be trying to move an ancient Viking cursed megalith. Again, unless you're Kratos helping Loki climb a mountain. Hey, we hope you enjoyed that video. I've been Kyle McWaters. You've been creeped out. As always, stay spooky, everybody.